Harry Meade is alongside me for the latest episode of Defender Diaries here at Bramham. We're right at the start of the cross-country course. And does your heart still fill with excitement when you're here and thinking, right, I get to ride this course?
I look forward to this event every year. And as soon as you drive in, from every reason, whether it's the welcome, whether it's the atmosphere, the crowd, the course, the going, everything is just brilliant. And we really look forward to this, but it's a proper meaty course. And when you come here, you know by the end whether you've got a horse really going somewhere or not.
Do you remember the first time you ever came here as a competitor?
I do. I was a young rider. It was my first 4-star, and I had such a great ride. And I think it's that moment where you realise that it's not just a dream and ambition, that you can do it. And it's completely achievable.
So genuinely, this is a life-changing moment for you to come back here and go, this is where I knew I could do this as a career.
It's still a litmus test for horses, but in the same way it is for riders as well. So when you can travel around a course like this, and I remember crossing the finish line, and my father looked at me and I said, I felt like a novice, and he thought I was saying the horse felt really green, but I was saying the course felt like a novice course. It just felt easy, and that was the sort of the best accolade you could give to the horse.
Tell me about the skill and almost the secret of good cross-country riding.
It really comes down to the partnership and the belief the horses have. What I love about cross-country riding is you spend years and years instilling in the horse a confidence, but also an independent thinking. There's different ways to do it. I believe in trying to equip the horses to be as self-sufficient as possible, so they can think for themselves, they can find their own balance, they can be very quick-footed, very I call it independent thinkers. And when a horse can do that, you obviously, you're prepared for everything to go well, but you're also prepared for things to go wrong and still cope and survive. And that's a lot of what cross-country is about.
So for you, almost the mental fitness is as important as the physical fitness, because 3/4 of the way around a long course you might have to suddenly remember what your B and C options are.
Totally.
And change your mind.
It's thinking and it's reacting without thinking. It's reacting in that completely instinctive way, and it's that seat of the pants kind of just gut instinct flair, which you can't really teach or learn, but you can nurture and develop.
The big difference with equestrian sport as to every other sport that people might watch or and that I cover is you are reliant on another living being, but also there is a misconception, I think, in the non-riding public that it's all the horse, that you don't have to be fit. So what work do you do to make sure you're ready for this?
Well, we obviously, the majority of our training is on a horse, so I'll be riding 8-9 hours every day, 7 days a week, competing a lot of days, probably on average 3 or 4 days a week all season, which is March to October. But aside from that, also working in the gym, working with a personal trainer and strength and conditioning coach and physio.
Because it's not about muscle.
No, it's a coordinated strength. So it's not about just bulking up. And in the 90s, people used to think that going to the gym was just about becoming a bodybuilder, and it's about that functional independence of coordination, but also controlled strength. But then I'd say with cross country, there's an element that you can become brilliant with sports psychology and nutrition and strength and conditioning, but actually really, and the higher you go up the levels, the more about heart of both rider and horse, and confidence and partnership and sort of flair comes to the fore.
It's my first time here at Bramham. I hadn't realised how beautiful it is and how much the land undulates. I mean, it's perfect ground conditions, but you've got to read the land as well, haven't you? It's not just about the jumps.
Yeah, the speed. The speed and endurance aspect of cross country is that first and foremost, it's an endurance test. So you're trying to be as fast as you can, but it's not a sprint. And therefore you've got to read the horse underneath you, you've got to read the terrain, you've got to read the ground conditions. Quicker ground takes less out of them than when it's soft year where it's holding. And all of that means that you're trying to conserve. It's probably like in motor racing, if you were on worn out tyres, how do you conserve the car? How do you conserve the tyres? And if you ride in a ragged way, you're going to use up your horse, and you're going to run out of that will and stamina by the latter part of the course. So it's about really trying to ride in that rhythm, and also allowing moments to, particularly when the gradient starts to drop away, just to let the horse breathe and settle. I think the biggest thing is when you can train a horse that their default way of going is with as close to a resting heart rate. I don't mean from the cardiovascular aspect of an endurance test, but more from the stress of exciting competition that we all feel, where our heart rate goes up, this big atmosphere, big crowds. When you can settle the horses, then it can conserve their energy, and that can then mean you're still running a fresh horse late on in the course.
We're along a tree line here, and there will be some fences on this course that suddenly are in a wooded area where it gets very dark. On a really sunny day, those light changes can make a difference. How do the horses cope okay with that?
They do, but when you get broken light, that's almost the hardest. When you come into partial shade, partial light, and it's almost flashing like strobe lighting. But the main thing is when we walk the course, we try and clock what time of day we're walking it compared to what time of day we're going to be riding it. And also when you're competing different horses. So I have 3 horses here this week. You walk the courses and you see each fence through the eyes of each horse. So you'll say that fence looks, I think it's actually pretty straightforward. I don't think it's as difficult as everyone's saying. And then you think of your next horse, you go, that fence looks enormous. And so it's seeing and it's understanding each horse's strengths and weaknesses, and their worries and their concerns or their confidence, and actually seeing it through the eyes of each horse, and that then means you adapt your riding accordingly.
We're on the cross-country course, we're mainly focusing on cross-country, but of course that's just one element of 3 within the event itself. How do you think you've improved as a rider from those young rider days in the dressage and the show jumping?
So I've come into it from a cross-country background, and I've always been determined to try to get to the top of the sport, and worked really hard across all 3 phases, but particularly the dressage I feel is it's something which has probably taken me longer to become really confident in. And the great thing is in the last 5 years or so we've had really good results in that phase, which then gives you more confidence, and then you get on an upward cycle of success, which is probably taken longer to come, but it's all of those years, and then you feel you've got that under your belt now, and you actually really enjoy that phase, and it's your chance to get to these big events and show off. The show jumping I love on the last day. If I didn't love the cross country so much, I could have been tempted to go show jumping, but for me that's about performing under pressure. I enjoy that it's a last phase, reverse order, in front of a crowd, everything to gain, and that's another challenge, and all 3 phases require a completely different mindset and almost suit different characters, and that's why the test of eventing is the all-round test for not just the horses but horsemanship as well.
It's interesting as well, and everything you say, it reminds me of a dressage instructor once saying to me, stop trying to hide what you think you're weak at, show off what you're good at.
Yes.
And as soon as you can switch your brain into that mode, and it sounds like you have done, you might have had it naturally in cross country, but you've learned to do that in dressage and show jumping. This is what I'm good at, let me show you.
Yeah, and it's a proactive, not just confidence where you're sort of walking around thinking you're good. It's more about actually embracing the opportunity rather than riding to avoid a mistake.
And it's also the message you transmit to a horse.
Totally, and the enjoyment. If you're in that mindset, it's a fun thing to do.
This seems to me a really lovely event with a nice atmosphere to it, where you can relax a bit and enjoy it, and be very present in it, and just say, God, how lucky am I?
I mean, all week I've just been saying this is such an amazing event, and I said every year, because I think every aspect of it's the gold standard of eventing. It really is. It's it just the way they put it on, the whole feel, the atmosphere, the park. It's got a really relaxed atmosphere as well, and loads of. It's very rider friendly. So we have the stables and the schooling areas and the gallop and the cross country schooling area all really close, so you're out of the buzz of the main event site, and it has a wonderful atmosphere.
There is in eventing this amazing camaraderie of it seems like everyone's in a way on the same team, riding against the course or riding the course, not against it, but you know what I mean. It's very helpful. Everybody's very supportive of each other.
It's really unusual that we're all competitive beasts. It's why we do it, and it's part of the perk of it. But it's quite unusual that in our sport you do all help each other. So I'll be walking the course and someone will say, "What do you think about this?" And it doesn't occur to you not to be completely candid with exactly what you're thinking, and that comes largely because there is an element of risk to it, and it's that risk that it makes it more enjoyable. We know what it is, we sign up to it, we fully accept it, but in doing so we have a huge protective spirit to everybody else competing, and we want to help each other. You don't want to see anyone, you might want to go a little bit quicker than someone, but you don't want to see anyone have a significant problem. And from that point of view, there's a real eventing family, which is particularly pertinent at the moment.
And it's a sport that doesn't suit arrogance or ego, because horses can make a fool of you pretty quick.
You're brought down to earth pretty literally with a bump.
Yeah, exactly. Best of luck to you with all your rides, and enjoy it, which I know you will.
Thank you.